You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's November the 27th, and welcome to Psychedelics Cannabis Educational News, live here from the Legacy420.com news desk at CBG TV and paceradio.net. Good morning, Rev Kelly, how you doing?
Good morning, good happy Monday. I'm great. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm not walking around on crutches anymore, so that's all good news.
That is
right?
Good news. That's great news.
And we haven't had to shovel any snow. Well, that's good news too.
It's been really warm. I like it.
I like it too, exactly. So anything new and exciting before we get into the news?
We had a big nug swap in Toronto this past weekend and collect for the food insecure. We're going to do it again this upcoming weekend in Keene. So it's the time of giving. It's the season of giving. I'm just hoping anybody that hears this that can't make it out to our events is giving to your local food banks and charities at the time of year, because it's a big time for that, right?
Big time for that, exactly. Sure is. There's no doubt about that.
Give us what you
All
got.
right. Yeah, and you see more of it gearing up. As far as I'm seeing people, even local people, like in local groups, trying to organize things.
Oh, good. I like hearing that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Inspired.
Yeah. All righty. On to our news for today. All right. Headline says, from Marijuana Moment, New York City drug overdose prevention centers are not driving crime. The American Medical Association study finds crime contrary to opponents' claims.
Oh, it's New York City's first drug overdose prevention centers where people can use currently illicit substances in a medically supervised environment, and they have not led to increased crime despite a significant decrease in arrests as police prioritize enforcement, according to a new study published by the American Medical Association.
Well, opponents have argued that establishing the harm reduction centers would drive crime. The study in JAMA Public Health says that the initial data from New York City do not support these concerns. This builds on prior research on the OPCs that showed early promise in their ability to reduce overdose deaths.
That's right. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, Brown University, and University of Connecticut looked at crime trends across the city's first two government-sanctioned overdose prevention centers that opened in 2021, comparing them to areas near 17 syringe service programs that don't offer overdose prevention resources.
During the time period reviewed from January 2019 to December 2022, they found no significant increases in crimes reported by the police or calls for emergency services in New York City's neighborhoods where two OPCs were located.
Consistent with the city's commitment to ensuring clients could use the centers free from law enforcement interference, large statistically significant declines in police narcotics enforcement around the OPCs were observed, the authors wrote. These findings suggest that concerns about crime and disorder remain substantial barriers to the expansion of OPCs in U.S. cities, and initial data from New York City do not support these concerns.
The study involved an analysis of drug possession and weapons arrests, 9/11 and 3/11 calls concerning crime, police summons for criminal infractions, public nuisances, and medical events. Researchers said that there was no statistically significant increase in either property or violent crime near OPCs. That's in spite of the fact that police arrests for drug possession near the centers fell by 83%. That decrease may partially be related to the city's desire not to deter clients from using the sites by fear of arrests for drug possession, the study says.
That's a good point. They wouldn't want
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's
Evaluating a
absolutely
politically, right? They want to be
yeah,
safe. A politically
yeah.
controversial public health intervention requires assessing effects on a community that go beyond its proximate health outcomes, the study concludes. More research is required to conclude that 2 OPCs in NYC will not be associated with localized increases in crime and disorder over a longer span of time.
However, objections to the implementation that rest on these concerns are not necessarily supported by our initial observations in this cohort study, it says. Our findings also suggest that a cooperative relationship between police and OPCs can enhance their effectiveness as a life-saving intervention while minimizing behaviors that would erode public support for such initiatives. For example, if they find somebody on the street, maybe they can take them there instead of taking them to the jail cell.
Right. Make it more of a health issue than a criminal
Yeah,
issue.
correct. Yeah.
The study is the latest to bolster arguments from harm reduction advocates about the utility and limited risk of establishing overdose prevention sites as a public policy intervention that can mitigate the risk of overdose deaths and amid the opioid crisis.
A separate JAMA study published last year found that over the course of 2 months in the first year of implementation, trained staff at New York City's first OPC intervened in 125 instances to mitigate overdose risk, administering naloxone and oxygen, and providing other services to prevent deaths. So there's 125 lives that were saved.
Right, right. Even so, a federal prosecutor who has jurisdiction over Manhattan emphasized in a statement to the New York Times in August that the sites are illegal and that he is prepared to exercise all options, including enforcement, if the situation does not change in short order.
Also, the background of this research, the Federal Justice Department is asking a federal court to dismiss a lawsuit from the Philadelphia nonprofit that's seeking to establish a safe consumption site in the city. In its arguments, DOJ has cited existing statute prohibiting facilities to allow illicit drug use. Saving lives is against the law, apparently.
I guess it is. The Justice Department had previously declined to file a brief to offer its position on the harm reduction issue, asking the court for more time to respond to the complex case. Last year, the department said that it was in the process of evaluating possible guardrails for safe consumption sites.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court rejected a request to hear a case on the legality of establishing facilities in October 2021. Last year, congressional researchers highlighted the uncertainties of the federal government's position on safe drug consumption sites, while pointing out that lawmakers could temporarily resolve the issue by advancing an amendment modeled after one that has allowed medical cannabis laws to be implemented without Justice Department interference. Write a memo.
Meanwhile, National Institute on Drug Abuse Director Nora Volkov has tactfully endorsed the idea of authorizing safe consumption sites, arguing that evidence has effectively demonstrated that the facilities can prevent overdose deaths.
Yeah, 125 in the one. Volkov declined to say specifically what she believes should happen with the ongoing lawsuit, but it said safe consumption sites that have been subject of research have shown that it has saved a significant percentage of patients from overdosing.
Rahul Gupta, the White House drug czar, has said the Biden administration is reviewing broader drug policy harm reduction proposals, including authorization of supervised consumption sites, and he went so far as to suggest possible decriminalization.
Wow. The National Institute of Health put out a pair of requests for applications in December of 2021 to investigate how safe consumption sites and other harm reduction policies could help address the drug policy. Gupta, the director of the White House Office of National Drug Policy, says it's critical to explore any and every option to reduce overdose deaths, which include allowing safe consumption sites for illegal substances if the evidence supports their efficacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Important.
Yeah. That was good. There you go.
Well, I know we had
Yeah,
good
it's
success out
just
of
more
British
proof because I know,
Columbia when
like,
they were
you know,
decriminalizing. They were adding the safe
yeah, well,
sites there.
yeah, Insight is there, and they've had good success there, and other places. You know,
Yeah.
they've got them in Toronto,
Hmm.
um, and other cities across the country, and we are seeing more of it
Yeah.
around the world slowly. You know, but
Yeah.
yeah, there
Health
is a
issue, not
benefit.
a criminal issue.
Yeah, it's a health issue, and you know the fact
It
that
is.
they said the police in around the um, safe sites, any arrests have dropped dramatically, and like they point out, yeah, they have to in a
Yeah.
way back off on that because if they're going to arrest somebody who's 20 feet away from the door, who's going there,
Yeah.
then obviously people aren't going to go to them, right? It's like
No, that
bait
doesn't feel
waiting
good.
for them to come.
No,
So,
that's not okay. Can't do that.
no, no. All right,
No.
on to the next story. This one comes to us from Entrepreneur, and the headline on it. Come on, a little slow today here, computer. There we go. Lawsuit filed over 2022 worker death at Trulieve Facility in Massachusetts.
Wow. The family of the woman who died last year at Trulieve's Holyoke, Massachusetts cannabis facility has filed a lawsuit against the company and the people who worked on its HVAC system. NBC Boston reports the lawsuit alleges negligence, recklessness, and misconduct surrounding the death of the then 27-year-old Lorna McMurray, who the Occupational Safety and Health Administration said died after inhaling ground cannabis dust.
In the lawsuit, McMurray's family claims she had an asthma attack about 2 months before her death while working at the facility, and that Trulieve was aware of this incident but took no steps to protect Lorna following her collapse while inside the facility.
A report published last week by the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention concluded that McMurray's death was the first reported occupational asthma death in the cannabis industry. Although it did not name McMurray in the report, NBC Boston reports the report says the worker's death illustrates missed opportunities for prevention, including workplace exposures, medical surveillance, and treatment, according to the current asthma guidelines.
In January, Trulieve agreed to a settlement with OSHA that led to a $14,000 fine reduced from $35,000. And in June, Trulieve announced plans to wind down its Massachusetts operation.
Huh.
And now it didn't say how
Interesting.
much they've been sued for in
No,
that.
but it feels funny to me. She was breathing in cannabis
She was,
flower
she was,
and
yeah, she was doing pre-rolls, making pre-rolls, and the dust caused her to have an asthma attack. The dust in the air
wow.
from the grindings of the cannabis.
So
She had
the
an asthma
obviously
attack,
the
and then she.
HVAC system, of course, they were mentioned there, but that should have been better filtered or although
Oh,
I know people that package the pre-rolls and they don't have to have face coverings or anything. So maybe that's going to come into
well,
play now.
now packaging. Are they actually rolling them? Involved in the rolling, or are they
That's
just
what I
putting
mean.
them in the
Sorry.
package?
They're rolling the pre-rolls and then,
Well,
doing whatever the
yeah,
facility
talk to them. See if maybe they've got an area near them that, um, like sort of like when people create gold, doing gold
Yep.
jewelry and stuff, they'll have a vacuum system in order to take the gold dust away.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, for jewelers and stuff like that, eh? So, all right,
Well, they'll
on to
set
our next
precedents for
story.
future operations.
Yes, from Marijuana Moment, Massachusetts Psychedelics Campaign to Submit 100,000 more signatures for legalization ballot initiative after officials discover invalid petition forms.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Massachusetts campaign says it has overcome a signature collection mishap and will be submitting more than enough new petitions to force legislative consideration of a psychedelics legalization initiative before potentially putting the issue on the 2024 ballot.
After initially turning in what it considered to be significant internally verified signatures for the measure to local clerks last month, Massachusetts for Mental Health Options was notified about a technical issue affecting tens of thousands of petitions, a spokesperson told Marijuana Moment. Officials reviewing the ballot sheets had alerted activists that some of the forms featured a labor union logo, a violation of the state signature gathering rules. Oh.
After deploying hundreds of petitioners for an intense weekend drive, the new Approach PAC-backed campaign announced on Tuesday that it's collected about 100,000 additional signatures on top of what was already submitted to local clerks last month, giving them confidence that they've more than made up the difference to qualify.
It's sort of like, thanks. Now we even have more signatures than when we originally submitted.
Yeah.
Jared Moffat, spokesperson for a new approach, told Marijuana Moment on Tuesday that the fact that the campaign amazed such a high volume of new signatures so quickly is a testament to the popularity of the reform, and it helpfully gave the campaign another opportunity to connect with voters.
Yeah, that's great. Supporters need 74,574 valid signatures to initiate the first steps of the process, which will put the reform in front of the state lawmakers next year. They plan to turn in the new batch of signatures by Wednesday, the deadline to get them to municipal clerks after the petitions are vetted by the local officials. The signatures must then be turned into the Secretary of State's office by December 6th.
We are thrilled at the response of voters over the last week who were enthusiastic to sign our petition, creating a regulated therapeutic framework to deliver natural psychedelic medicines to veterans and other Massachusetts residents suffering from PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Jennifer Manley, she's a spokesperson for the campaign. She went on to say, this will provide an avenue of hope for many people that long-term pharmaceuticals have not worked for.
This development comes about 2 months after activists made a decision to pursue one of two psychedelic measures that the state attorney general's office had cleared in September.
The initiative, the campaign selected, is more expansive in that it would provide adults with home cultivation option, whereas the other proposal wouldn't have. The two measures were otherwise identical, and the campaign conducted internal polling before deciding which version to pursue. Well, it's nice. They had the option, one without growing and one with growing. Yeah.
I haven't heard of that yet. If the signatures are formally verified by state officials, the legislature would have the choice to enact the reform, propose a substitute, or decline it to act. If lawmakers decide not to legalize psychedelics by May 1st, activists would then have until July 3rd to submit at least 12,429 additional valid signatures to put the proposal before voters on the November 2024 ballot.
Something tells me 12,000 signatures wouldn't take too much.
No.
So either do it now, or we'll just have the voters do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
The measure would create a regulatory framework for lawful and supervised access to psychedelics at licensed facilities. It would also legalize the possession and gifting of psychedelics such as psilocybin and ayahuasca, but it would not otherwise provide for commercial retail sales of the substances. Growing gift.
Yeah, if we drop down, it talks about the Psychedelics Act, and it's really a long article, but valid information.
It is. Yeah, exactly. It's posted at the Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News Facebook page if you want to read more of that. But there's, it's good to see movement.
Yeah.
So, all right, on to the next story. Here we go. And this one comes to us from Political, and it says on the headline, USDA is giving some farmers an ultimatum: grow hemp or marijuana. What a choice.
Okay. American farmers seized the opportunity to grow hemp after it was legalized in 2018 Farm Bill, hoping the potentially lucrative crop would help keep their businesses afloat.
But now the U.S. Department of Agriculture is revoking hemp licenses for some farmers who have also chosen, in states where it's legal, to grow hemp, federally illegal cousin, marijuana.
Uh-oh. Some farmers say the USDA's interpretation of federal law has yanked a financial life raft from under them, saying it was definitely a huge blow to our business. That comes from Sam Bellevance, a cannabis farmer in Vermont who had separate licenses to grow both marijuana and hemp before USDA rescinded the letter earlier this year.
Bellevance estimates that he would lose at least $250,000 in revenue due to the license revocation.
Wow.
The inconsistency between federal and state interpretations of the 2018 Farm Bill reflects the larger challenges hemp and marijuana farmers face in the emerging market, where two nearly identical agricultural products have very different legal statuses. Even though more than half of the Americans now live in a state where adults can legally possess cannabis, and 70% of Americans support cannabis legalization, under federal law, it continues to be classified as a highly dangerous drug with no medical applications, the same as heroin.
Yeah. Hemp industry officials complain that lack of legal and regulatory clarity from the federal government has scared off retailers from selling hemp-derived products and tanked the price of the crop.
That's led farmers to dramatically reduce cultivation levels. In 2019, farmers planted 275,000 acres of hemp, but that plummeted to almost 21,000 last year. Big drop.
Wow. What a drop. What a huge drop. They're rescinding the hemp licenses. It's another example of the absurdity of keeping a substance for which now 55% of Americans live in a jurisdiction where it's legal, federally illegal, said Tim Byron Fair, who founded the law firm Vermont Cannabis Solutions. He says it's insane. It is, Tim.
It is. But Bellevance is just one of the many farmers in at least two states, Vermont and Mississippi, who lost their hemp licenses this year after entering their state's regulated cannabis industry. Politico has learned. Another hemp grower in Missouri said USDA informed him in April 2023 that he would lose his hemp license if he applied to participate in the state's new legal cannabis industry. Wow. Yeah.
I lost where we were.
That's all right. We'll just cut it down. That's just crazy. To tell them that they can't have the license.
Yeah, and that's hundreds of thousands of acres of hemp not being planted anymore.
And
like
it's
over
obvious,
200,000, right? That's
and obviously
cleans our air.
If the hemp numbers are
helps
going,
us with our carbon.
Yeah.
What on earth?
Hemp numbers are going down. That means that people are deciding to grow the cannabis instead.
I'm okay with them growing something, but I know that hemp is so good for our environment and we need to be using it more.
And for them,
interesting.
I just can't, it's just.
Canada needs a farm bill like the US's farm bill. Canada needs a farm bill up here so we can grow more hemp and use more hemp and CBD products, medicine and food.
The federal government really has to get on the ball down there. Yeah. That's what I say because. All righty. Last story before we go to a break. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Last story before we go to break. Headline on it says Calgary police investigate streak of cannabis store armed robberies. This comes to us from Global News.
That's right. And they believe they're investigated. And on November 15th at 12 a.m., police were called to the 420 Cannabis store at 2008 33 Avenue Southwest for reports of an armed robbery, but the suspects fled before police arrived.
On November 22nd, also around midnight, police were called to an armed robbery at Dank Cannabis Weed Dispensary at 3412 30th Avenue. Again, the suspects fled before officers arrived. and police believe they were using a stolen vehicle.
Then later that day, police received reports of another armed robbery at 420 Cannabis at 3011 26th Avenue Southwest, where officers believe 3 unknown suspects walked into the store brandishing a gun and a knife.
Police believe the same suspects are responsible for all 3 robberies, fleeing each with an undisclosed amount of cash and cannabis products.
There's the
Yeah.
they're working with staff at each location. They're going to review the evidence, and no suspects are in custody.
Yeah. The Calgary police remind business owners to be vigilant of suspicious people or activity around the stores and call police if they notice anything unusual. Now,
What do you think, Al? You think that maybe if they could see in the store and the people in the store could see out of the store, they would
yes,
be able to have better.
that could help. The I
Right.
was thinking that there was some movement on that in Alberta.
There was,
but,
I don't know when that comes into place because it was changed for Alberta. They were our first province that was changed, and I don't know when that comes into place.
No,
But
yeah,
I wonder if
yeah.
that's having any effect on this at all. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
well, I completely agree with if they've got to be people got to be able to see in it, but I also know it doesn't guarantee everything. Being that I'm a victim of being held up with a gun pointed to my head,
Doesn't guarantee it all.
doesn't guarantee anything. And I had windows all around me on a busy street in the downtown.
You never know.
And they never got the guy. So. Yeah, I was 18, so that was 45 years ago, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Wow.
All righty, off we go to break. As we always say, it's medication time. Kelly and I'll be right back after our joint session. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the 2 easiest ways for people to help right now.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
And you're live with Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. Well, Rev Kelly, I see we got 5 more stories to cover. I think we'll do fine.
Right.
What do you think? We'll get them all in today. Come on. Right now it's holiday season's coming on us. People are looking to travel. Maybe they're still deciding on places to go. So I think this next story is a good help. The top 20 countries where cannabis is legal in 2023. Why not pick one of them to go to, right?
Yeah, I bet. The story is a little bit scattered all over the place. It breaks down some history and then the legalization and moves towards, but we'll find the place where it's talking about the ones that are legal this year, and the collecting.
Let's go down to the list of countries.
Yeah. There's it starts with methodology. That's where it is. So, if you're curious about which cities are smoking the most weed in America, that talks about that just before that, and then it starts off with Ecuador at number 20. And they have an annual prevalence of cannabis use of 67%, 0.67%.
Yes. Yeah. Now they say that they have medical cannabis there, but it can't exceed 1% THC.
Right.
Number 19 is Thailand. Now, we know from doing the news that we are seeing some changes in Thailand's cannabis laws with the new government.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting what's going to happen there.
Yeah, and we have number 18, Mexico, which feels a little funny because they approved to decriminalize in 2021, but they haven't really moved forward with their efforts to legalize. It's a fully legal cannabis market in Mexico would be worth $3 billion a year, it says.
Yeah. Only 2.1% of the uses. Malta, they have uses of 3.1%. They became the first country in the EU to legalize cultivation and personal use of cannabis for both medical and recreational.
Right. They export company. Colombia is the annual prevalence use of 3.727%. And they're the country with the legal medical cannabis in 2016.
Look at that. Colombian residents is allowed to harvest up to 20 plants for their own use. 20 plants.
20.
That's what it says. Georgia, annual prevalence of cannabis use is 3.4%. And the Georgian Constitutional Court legalized the consumption of cannabis, making the country the first former member of the no longer Soviet Union to legalize it.
Yes. No Georgians are still barred from growing, storing, or selling the drug. They're calling it a drug. South Africa, 3.65% used there. The African medical and recreational cannabis markets are estimated to be worth $585.5 million and $1.5 billion, respectively. Holy South Africa.
Portugal, there the use is 5.1%, and 2021 they decriminalized all illegal drugs back then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Number 12 is Luxembourg, at 5.4%. And they're one of the European countries with legal recreational cannabis this year.
Yes, yeah. 3 grams you can have outside your residence.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Argentina, that's 2 joints. Annual prevalence of cannabis use is at 8.13%.
What?
And they say small possession of cannabis is decriminalized there. The cultivation, distribution, or sale remains illegal.
Italy is number 10 with 10.21% of prevalence there. And they're one of the cities with the highest cannabis consumption in the world is Rome.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Netherlands, there's 10.4%. And we know it's been there available there for ages in coffee shops, but even that is changing.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It mentions dominated cannabis tourism for 40 years, not so much anymore. Spain in at number 8 with 10.5. And they're saying that Madrid ranks among the cities with the cheapest weed in the world with 6.8, $6.80 a gram.
$6.80. The Czech Republic, annual prevalence of cannabis use is at 11%. They say it still ranks among the countries where recreational cannabis is illegal. It decriminalized possession for personal use in 2010 and legal medical in 2013.
Wow. Chile, it has 12.5% of prevalence, and they have, let's see, they have authorities seized 285 plants in 2022, 50,000 more in 2019. So they're collecting their plants there, it seems.
Yeah, it seems that. Top 6. Oh, they only went to the top 6?
Where did our number 5s go?
They
tricked us now. They tricked us.
No, I'm just going to see. I've just changed this. Okay. I'm just going to see. I've clicked on the tab at the bottom to see if we can get the top 5. And if I can, I'll switch the tab. No.
We got to have Canada's got to be in there. Wow. Germany's got to be in there. Jamaica. That's going to be my guess. Canada, number 1. Jamaica, number 2.
Yeah.
U.S. is going to be in there.
US, but it's not legal. Yeah, it's not legal in the U.S.
No,
so
it's not legal, but it has some.
Uruguay.
Okay, 20 countries where weed is legal, and so it's some form of legalization. So Canada, Jamaica, U.S., Germany. We didn't see Germany on here. What else are we missing? We're missing one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yahoo Finance. We're gonna get you those answers, listeners. We're gonna get you those answers.
The top 14, the bottom 14 of the top 20.
Yeah. Live news.
All right, on to the next one. From Marijuana Moment, people with anxiety report better sleep on days they use cannabis compared to alcohol or nothing at all. Study finds.
Absolutely. It's a new federal funded study, but the study published in the Journal of Drug and Alcohol Review, researchers at the University of Colorado, Colorado State University, and the University of Haifa analyzed the subject's sleep quality of 347 people who reported using cannabis to treat anxiety. They wanted to understand the different ways that sleep was affected by the use of cannabis, alcohol, neither, or both on a given day.
No, I've lost where we were. Oh, there we go. To the end, people participating in the study were asked to fill out daily surveys for 30 days, recounting their substance use and subjective sleep experiences the night prior. Researchers compared outcomes from non-use days, cannabis-only days, alcohol-only days, and co-use days.
Okay. Compared to non-use, participants reported better sleep after cannabis use only and after co-use, but not after alcohol use only, the authors who received funding from the study from the National Institute of Health grant.
The study also identified a relationship between the frequency of cannabis and alcohol use and sleep outcomes. People who use the substances more frequently reported greater sleep quality in days when they only use cannabis compared to less frequent cannabis and alcohol consumers.
The study's utilization of naturalistic data among individuals with anxiety symptoms replicated previously reported experimental findings among individuals without sleep and anxiety problems that overall cannabis is associated with higher subjective sleep quality, the researchers said. The results expand upon other research to suggest that more frequent use of alcohol and cannabis may moderate daily associations of cannabis use and sleep, potentially through pharmacokinetics and cross-sensitization.
The authors said their hypothesis about the impact of cannabis use alone on sleep was confirmed, as both cannabis use only and co-use days were linked to higher perceived sleep quality versus non-use.
Sleep quality was notably better after cannabis-only days compared to co-use days, they said. These findings add to the emerging evidence of cannabis sleep-enhancing properties.
While alcohol has been found to help people fall asleep, the study supported prior findings that it does not enhance overall sleep quality, especially compared to cannabis. Interestingly, the research also signaled that the sleep effects of cannabis alone did not weaken over time for people who reported more frequent use of cannabis and alcohol, suggesting that tolerance didn't influence sleep quality.
In fact, results suggest a contrary pattern. Better sleep quality post-cannabis use days compared to non-use days among those frequently using cannabis, the study says. This could be due to higher doses used by frequent users, potentially tied to better sleep. However, understanding various cannabis combinations and ratios, sleep effects remains limited, requiring further research.
The simple slope analysis showed that none of the slopes differed from zero, and thus that there was no difference in sleep quality after no-use days across those who use cannabis more and less frequently. This refutes an alternative interpretation of the interaction effect, namely that people who use cannabis more frequently experience withdrawal-related sleep problems after non-use days.
Because the study included data on people who use different types of cannabis, both in terms of dosage and product selection, researchers said that there are open questions about how certain concentrations and cannabinoid profiles affect the results. So future clinical trials could help fill those knowledge gaps.
Yeah, they say there is an urgent need for experimental studies investigating the effects of cannabis and alcohol on sleep. Our studies suggest that cannabis may exert positive effects on subjective sleep quality among individuals intending to use cannabis to cope with anxiety. Another long story, but I think that final line there sort of rounds it all up.
Absolutely.
That sleep for people, with anxiety.
Helps me sleep.
Yeah, get some sleep with some cannabis.
Yeah.
And it can improve the quality. So, all right, on to our next story. This one comes to us from StratCan. It says that cannabis sales declined in September.
Okay, bigger in the summertime. They said they declined 4.9% in September. It's from an August high of 589 million to 560 million. So not much, but still a little bit of a decline there.
I could see September, October, November being some decline in there because of the fact that people are doing the personal harvest. Right? Sales increased month by month from February 2023 to August, following a post-Christmas decline from a previous peak of $511 million in December of 2022.
Cannabis sales in Canada have continued to increase annually despite periodic declines. While these declines in sales are generally after Christmas, smaller drops have also occurred just before December. Again, probably because of your harvesting theory, Al.
Yeah, this current decline occurred alongside a downturn for other parts of the Canadian economy. Core retail sales of all of Canada, excluding gasoline stations, fuel vendors, and motor vehicle parts dealers, were down 3% in September. You can see the chart there, right?
Yeah. That's very interesting. So they're saying that it's a trend among other things too.
Yeah.
They're seeing
Yeah.
sales in Canada are gone down. It's the retail trade for October. It's going to be released December 21st.
And wholesale trade for cannabis also declined from a peak of in August at 288 million to 261 million. The previous high was 260. I know that you couldn't feel that or hear that, but I just had the ground shake underneath me. I'm not having an earthquake.
The ground shake?
Yeah. There's
I hope not.
Yeah, there's some blasting going on nearby.
Okay. No earthquakes in Marmara today.
No earthquakes, no.
The number of retail stores across Canada also continues to grow, although the pace has slowed considerably compared to the first 4 years of legalization. As of October 2023, there were 3,654 cannabis stores in Canada. Oh my God. I didn't realize that was the number we were at, Al.
Yeah, and that doesn't
3,654 cannabis stores in our country. That's not the online stores. Wow.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. we got one legal medical store in 21 years, 22 years.
Yeah. One.
One. British Columbia had 513 public and private stores, either open or coming soon. Alberta 749, Saskatchewan 176. Go ahead.
No, but get to Ontario here. What?
Yeah.
Look at what Ontario has, Al. 1,770 stores in Ontario.
Yeah.
We had 25. Oh my God.
Well, it's originally that was what the goal was. 25 was the first. Yeah,
25.
was the first. Yeah. Quebec's got 98, New Brunswick's 25.
Wait a second. Quebec, in the entire province of Quebec, only has 98 stores.
Yeah.
What?
You know, I don't know how, you know, I can't see people running the store to get their medicated figs.
No. 98 stores. You drive far for that. Look, PEI only has 4 in the entire island.
Yeah, on the entire island, but yet they have one of the stores that has one of the higher sales records in the country.
Yeah.
We did a story on PEI
going there
on Thursday. And a lot of people go there. Apparently.
Yeah. Nunavut's got a store.
Yeah.
Yukon's got 6. Yukon's really flourishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's very cool. Good to see the progress happening up there, but very shocked at how many we have in Ontario. Oh my goodness.
1,700. But you know, and there's still communities that it's not allowed.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a story on Thursday of a place that was a cannabis store that opened in the Toronto area that didn't opt in, and they got busted and all that.
They got in trouble.
They got in trouble.
Newmarket or something, right?
Yeah,
Newmarket or one of those little.
No, it was actually a store. It was a store. Yeah, a storefront.
Store.
Yeah.
No. What I'm saying was, it was the Newmarket area. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
It was Newmarket.
Okay. I understand. You're going there with
Oakville still opted out. I remember that. Yeah. Why?
Yeah. All right. On to the next story. This comes to us from Psychedelics, or Psych Post, actually. And they say psychedelic mushroom use linked to lower psychological distress in those with adverse childhood experiences.
With a recent study conducted here in Canada, researchers have uncovered a potentially promising connection between the use of psychedelic mushrooms and a reduction in psychological distress, particularly among individuals who have experienced adverse childhood experience. And that study was published in the Journal of Psychoactive Drugs.
Psilocybin, the compound responsible for the effects of the magic mushrooms, has been the subject of growing interest in recent years for its potential therapeutic applications. Previous research has suggested that psilocybin might be associated with improved mental health, decreased suicidality, and reduced risk of various adverse outcomes.
The current study aimed to explore the relationship between psilocybin use and psychological distress with a specific focus on individuals who had experienced adverse childhood experiences. ACEs, such as abuse, neglect, and exposure to violence, can have long-lasting negative effects on mental health. Understanding how psilocybin may impact individuals with a history of ACEs could provide valuable insights into its therapeutic potential.
In recent years, we've seen the rebirth of psychedelic medicine. We did this study because we were particularly interested in psilocybin, which is widely accessible, had potential benefits for people with adverse childhood experiences, according to the study author, Kiffer G. Card, who is an assistant professor of health sciences at Simon Fraser University.
To conduct their research, the scientists recruited participants through online advertisements on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit, as well as through email and other social media channels. The study focused on people living in Canada and aimed to explore the use of psilocybin in this context, where legal regulations surrounding its use are evolving.
In total, the study included 1,249 participants with an average age of 39.8 years, so 40. The participants came from diverse backgrounds with various gender identities, ethnicities, and sexual orientations.
The participants provided information about their demographics, such as age, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, income, education, and disability status. They also reported their psilocybin use history, including when they last consumed it, the dosage levels, and their reasons for using it.
Participants also completed 2 key assessments. The Adverse Childhood Experiences Questionnaire assessed participants' experience of childhood trauma, such as abuse, neglect, exposure to substance use, and domestic violence, while the Psychological Distress Scale measured the frequency of distressing symptoms like nervousness, hopelessness, restlessness, depression, and worthlessness experienced by participants in the past 30 days.
Participants who had used psilocybin in the last 3 months reported lower levels of psychological distress compared to those who had not used it during this period. This suggests that recent psilocybin use may be associated with a reduction in psychological distress.
Interesting, the study found the effect of psilocybin on reducing psychological distress, which was particularly pronounced among individuals who had experienced higher levels of adverse childhood experiences. In other words, psilocybin seemed to have a more significant impact on reducing distress in those with a history of childhood adversity. Mm-hmm.
The study also showed that a significant proportion of participants had used psilocybin in their lifetime and expressed positive opinions about its benefits and safety. Many reported using it to address mental health and emotional challenges, indicating its potential as a self-help tool.
Yeah. The average person reading our study can see that there is promising potential for psilocybin as a therapeutic agent. Of course, our study is only observational, but in the context of other experiments and studies, it's increasingly clear that individuals do benefit to some extreme from psilocybin. This is particularly true for people with more severe exposure to childhood distress.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's great
information.
Good stuff.
Great article.
I'm just watching our time here. We got one more story to go. But yeah, that's good stuff. There's a lot of people who deal with childhood trauma. And, if this is a medicine that can help them, then why not?
Right.
Yeah. And like I say, it's constant. We're constantly coming up, finding new studies that say benefits of it. So. All right, last story of the day comes to us from Marijuana Moment. Ukraine medical marijuana bill that was set for final vote is blocked by hundreds of spam amendments, lawmakers say.
Yeah. It was supposed to be taken up for a final vote this week. Now it's being effectively blocked, and members of one party are filing hundreds of so-called spam amendments to procedurally delay passage. Oh my goodness.
You're doing it on purpose, making patients suffer. Come on. Ukraine's unicameral legislature, the Verkhovna Rada, was scheduled to consider the reform measure on Wednesday. It advanced through the committee last week, with the support of the president, and it was expected to easily pass in a final reading. But MP Olga Stefanashvili says opponents are using a time-consuming legislative tactic to keep it from enactment.
The bill on medical cannabis is blocked in the council, she said in Facebook post on Wednesday. Despite hours of negotiations to pass and implement the reforms so that patients could get medication and pain relief as early as next year, members of the Motherland Party are forcing consideration of 229 new amendments that are meant to exhaust the process and deprive the law of votes, she wrote.
Wow. It's over 400 minutes of the Rada's working time, and in fact, 2 days to completely senseless spectacle, while amendments put on a vote just to prolong the time and prevent the law from passing the hall.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wednesday's vote didn't happen as scheduled. She said supporters are exploring options to overcome the procedural hero by limiting the consideration of certain amendments.
National Health, Medical Care, and Health Insurance Committee had already analyzed more than 800 amendments that were filed by members of various parties before the bill was revised and approved for the panel last month. So now they got 200 and some odd more amendments after these 800?
Right. They did that. And the bill would create a national medical cannabis program to provide access to patients with conditions as cancer, post-traumatic stress disorder resulting from war. They're in the Ukraine. Like a proposed reform that comes as Ukraine continues to experience violent conflict after Russia invaded the country last year. So these guys need this. Hello.
That's right. Now, the president voiced his support for the medical marijuana legislation in June, standing in an address to Parliament that all the world's best practices, all the most effective policies, all the solutions, no matter how difficult or unusual they may seem to us, must be applied in Ukraine so that Ukrainians, all our citizens, do not have to endure the pain, stress, and trauma of war. But yet, here's one party that's shutting it all down.
Hundreds of spam. That's awful.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. All righty. I'll look at our time. We haven't got much. Got anything you want to say before I sign us out?
We've got a Keen Cannabis Temple happening at 12 First Street this Sunday from 12 to 4:20 p.m. So if you're in the area, pop by. Lots of vendors, non-cannabis and cannabis vendors.
All right, good stuff. All right, that's a PACE News Report for November the 27th, and I have to say happy birthday to my daughter. And from the Legacy420.com news desk, thanks to our buds at the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Legacy420.com, and LimestoneCityHydroponics.ca. And in closing, we'd like to say thanks for watching and listening, and don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.